It's Slip It In, the combo that has you obsessed.
We're talking pop culture, bad choices, obviously things that should stay in the group chat.
But they don't.
You'll laugh.
You'll cringe.
And then, oh my God, did they really just say that?
Oh, we said it.
And yeah, we slip it in.
Every single episode.
You'll laugh, you'll cringe, you'll beg for more with a guilt.
Welcome, everyone. We are back, slipping it in with you. I'm Megan.
I'm your favorite Spanish boy, JJ.
Hello,
And
hello.
I am Matty, who maybe should be put in the witness protection program.
Probably.
Because guess who we have with us today? My favorite stalker, Molly. Sure enough, setting up the pod and who's walking down the street, but Molly. So we thought, hey, let's pull her off the street, put her
Bring it
in
in.
a seat, put her some headphones on, put a mic in front of her, and let her plead her case.
hello, Molly.
Welcome.
It's good to be here. Good to be inside the house.
Yeah.
Yes.
To peering in your windows to see if you're home from the outside.
Welcome to the inside.
Exciting.
Yes. And Molly, you are one of our slippers. So we know you know the drill. So let's hear it. What are
Yeah.
your top 3 nuts?
Yeah, we like to
Let's
start.
get to it.
So cashew, which I know is a favorite
Oh,
by
yes.
a lot. I mean, but it's
It's
how
so
can you
good.
not? How
Yeah.
can you not?
Cashew is like, the
yeah.
equivalent of the song of the
Crooked,
summer.
yet so yummy.
Right.
According to Anderson Cooper.
Also almonds. Love almonds.
Okay.
Okay.
And
Healthy
then I forget
almonds.
if it was Anderson Cooper or Andy Cohen, but I do also love the lowly peanut.
Oh, yes.
As your number 3?
Yeah,
the lonely
especially
peanut.
as a salad topper. If I'm doing a salad with an
Oh.
Asian
Oh, a salad,
dressing, it's really nice to add some texture.
A
Yeah.
lonely peanut, or as Megan calls it, a whore.
Well, I didn't call it that. Anderson Cooper called it the whore.
I actually think they add a lot of flavor and spice to a salad.
yeah.
I like them on a salad. And
Yeah.
you know what's funny is that pre-production, we were
Mhm.
talking about nuts. And I was shocked because I don't, in all of our nut conversation, JJ, I don't think you had told us that you're like, it's like your least favorite.
Well, I was
peanut.
introduced. I was in a dinner a couple weeks ago, and when this conversation always comes, it's naturally, it comes organically. And one of the guests that was at the birthday dinner said, "Wait, what is your least favorite nut?" And I don't think I can. I mean, I like peanut butter.
Brazil nut.
Yours is Brazil.
Mm.
Oh, who likes
Oh,
the Brazil
really?
nut?
I don't, but I
No.
also don't like a walnut.
It's funny that this family was Brazilian.
I like a Brazil nut. And you know what I
What?
just learned is a
I
crow
like a Brazilian.
loves a Brazil nut.
I didn't
Yeah.
know.
Crows
I did the
obsessed
Matty,
with them.
I like a Brazilian nut. If
Yeah.
you know what I mean.
But JJ, do Brazilians like Brazil nuts? Because they're
They
all,
do, but
they-
they don't call it Brazilian nuts.
What do they
There's a
call it?
different name. I can't remember right now.
But
That would be
oh.
like an American.
Yeah, it's like French
Yeah.
fries in French,
Yeah.
in France, calling them French fries. They just
Yeah.
call them potato
Frites.
fries.
No, they call them frites.
Frites.
they just call them potato fries.
I mean, I
They're
just
frites.
made that up in my
Yeah,
mind.
you
Yeah.
did.
But you
That's how you should.
confidently. you
Yeah.
did it.
Yeah.
Listen,
Do you know that I like to eat a peanut in its full shell? Like
Oh,
I'll eat the
like
whole
It's
thing.
disgusting.
At a baseball game or
Yeah,
on the
those
regular?
kind. Like if I were to buy, I do like a peanut. And if I were to buy peanuts, I'm not buying those. They're not circuits. No, they're just like but they're like a baseball
They're
stadium
peanuts
peanut.
in a shell.
Peanuts
yeah,
in
they
a
just
shell.
haven't deshelled. I mean, you're acting
Peanuts in a
like
shell.
It's a
Yeah.
particular peanut.
But
Mm.
and if I come across them with the shell, I put the whole thing in there, eat the whole thing.
Oh no,
Yeah.
no.
No. I do like shucking and eating. Like when you go to those restaurants where they have the large
Mm.
bowls of nuts and you just shuck and throw your
It's like in college.
shells on the floor. I love it.
Remember that?
I'm
Yeah.
not a fan of that.
That's
Texas
too much
Corral
work.
does that,
Yes.
and I'm not a big fan of that.
I love it because
No.
I love
I think it's
having
great.
that
Thank you.
little snack.
Sometimes I need support, so I'm glad that you're here.
There is something to be said, I think, about having to work for your food in terms of like cracking the nut or like lobster having to.
You don't even
work
crack the nut, man. You just eat it.
Exactly.
You just told us that.
You're like an
Exactly.
elephant
I know.
that like takes.
But I was supporting
pretty much.
Megan because Megan's like, I like shucking them.
When I'm at a restaurant and waiting
Right.
for my food and hungry, it's nice to have that little snack.
And I'm just saying also there's something to be said about like I feel like you appreciate whatever it is you like if you have to work a little bit for
Yeah.
it.
Sometimes
I don't know. Like,
if you work for those nuts,
Well,
you get a nice reward at the end.
sometimes there is a lot of work with a nut.
well, yeah.
Oh, God. All right. Well, we've digressed in that nutty conversation. So, Molly, I think it's really interesting because you always thought your dad was, your normal everyday dad living this very ordinary life. But after he passed away, you learned that he might just have been the most interesting guy in the room.
Oh, so we just took a right turn.
Well, because things were getting out of control. So,
Nutty?
yeah. So, Molly, after your dad died, what did you learn about him and share at the Moth?
Yeah, so I thought this would be a good story for the Moth, and I'm not sure if you all.
I was gonna say because I was just introduced as we were talking about this to a moth. I know what the insect is. I didn't know the concept of the moth.
Well,
and
that it's funny you say that because I didn't really know either. We'll get to your story. I'm sorry. We do have a tendency to take over.
I've hung out with you guys before.
Okay. So this isn't your first.
No.
Rodeo.
She's your stalker. She
I
knows
know.
what's
She
going
knows
on.
what's happening.
She's like,
I get through your window.
I've seen your previous
She
episodes.
she knows your whereabouts.
Yes.
I do. I know when you're home if your car's in the driveway.
Yeah.
Oh God, I know. It's like
Not
sometimes
joking.
even in the summer I have to park in the garage just to throw
Just
her
in
off
case.
my scent. All right, so I did a little research. So the Moth came about by a founder by the name of George Doss Green, and he was trying to recreate the feeling of a summer night in Georgia, where people would gather on the porch to tell stories while the moths were drawn to the porch light. So I think it's very cool. It's like the people gathering were like the equivalent of, well, they would be like the moth because they were gathering to hear the story. So it's
Or
kind of like
it's
symbolic.
just probably the concept
Moth
of
to a
the
light.
moth just sneaking in and listening to the stories.
Creeper moth.
That creepy
Yeah.
moth.
Like our
sometimes.
stalker.
Well, it tracks.
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised.
So you were at the Moth in Detroit, which is in Marble Bar, which is something that they do regularly.
Yeah, so they're all across the United States. There's Moth storytelling hours at all these different venues, and in
really?
Detroit, yeah. So it's every major city. Like Ann Arbor even has one, but in Detroit, it's at the Marble Bar.
Matty, and
Are
I
they-
wonder if New York has one.
Oh, New
Maybe.
York for
Yes,
sure.
New
I
York.
Are
bet
they all
does.
like connected in terms of like a community? Like it's all through the same
So,
organization, or
NPR has like their national Moth. So if you go on it's like where they have like the best storytellers come in and they'll play
That's
it
so
on
cool.
the NPR storytelling, but then they also, it's not like a franchise, but like local NPR. So like WDET here in Detroit is the one that runs the Moth at Marble Bar. And then I think it's the NPR station out of Ann Arbor that will run the one in Ann Arbor. So it's like, I think it's mostly affiliated with NPR stations.
okay, I love me.
So
some
you were
NPR.
part of, you were a regular and then you were part of it, or were you part of it and
So
then?
I had actually performed at a storytelling event in Boston. So my old roommate there was a amazing storyteller,
Really?
and she actually helped to organize and host that event. So when I moved here to Detroit, I was like, oh, I wonder like what is here. But whenever I had gone to the one in Boston, it was like with friends, so it was a little scary going to the one in Detroit and not really knowing.
Oh, did you
that
go by
many people.
yourself?
I brought my husband and my best friend Anika came, and I didn't actually realize that other people in their audience were. I used to work at Ford Motor Company, and there were some of my colleagues were in the audience. I didn't even realize it.
Well, that would put a little
So
extra.
it's kind of like a
Yeah.
stepping out of your comfort zone type of
Oh,
situation.
for sure. I mean, like you're on stage, there's lights shining in your
Yeah.
face. Like I'm not normally a performer, right? So it's intimidating for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you
And
were
so
able
this
to tell a
ties
story.
into your dad because at the
Well,
Moth.
so at the
you-
Moth, there's always like different topics for each storytelling event. So I had wanted to tell this story for a while. The format of the Moth is you only have 5 minutes to tell a story.
We have more than 5 minutes.
We
for
do,
you.
which is
Oh,
good. 'Cause I don't-
definitely.
This is a juicy story.
Okay.
But the way that I opened it at the Moth was after my dad had passed. we had a celebration of life for him about a month after he passed away. He had suffered from a type of blood cancer about 6 years. So it was a pretty like rough ending. But we wanted to kind of bring all family and friends together and
celebrate his life. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And my sister and I were kind of cuddling in bed with my mom, all home. My family's in Massachusetts, so, aren't always there. And my mom just said to us, she's like, so, you might hear some things tomorrow about your dad. I was like, okay.
At the funeral?
At the memorial.
Celebration.
The celebration of life. She's like giving us a heads up that you might hear some things about your dad tomorrow.
Just
like,
FYI.
And she was like, so your dad, he used to sell weed. And I wasn't that surprised by that. Like my parents were like hippies, like I was like, okay. She was like, and it wasn't a small amount. I was like, okay. And then what really got me, she's like, and he served a year in federal prison.
Wow.
Oopsies.
Yeah. So that was like, I had no idea about that. So it turned out that my dad for about 5 years and his friends were involved in a pretty significant weed smuggling and distribution operation. So I was able to ask his friends about this.
How many friends are we talking about here? 5?
10?
10?
No, more.
Oh wow.
So there were
shook the community.
Well, there was boat people, and because they actually sailed it up from South America.
Shut up! No way.
There was actually an article about this group in Rolling Stone recently. Actually,
wow.
Okay, okay. I thought she was like kind of exaggerating a little bit when she said it was like it was a little bit more than. I mean, literally, when you, in my mind,
this is like needs to be a Netflix like documentary or something.
Yeah, no, I mean, so if you go into this Rolling Stone article, like I look at photos of them at the time, and they're just like, these are just like very attractive, gorgeous people who are just like tanned, like they live on sailboats.
Wow.
They would they bought a shrimp boat, and they would take the shrimp boat to bring the weed up from Columbia to St. Martin.
Stop.
Wow.
And then in St. Martin, they would transfer it to smaller sailboats and sail up into Maine or Cape Cod and like kind of like high-end towns where they would offload, and then that's where my dad would help with offloading and then distribution.
And then
you didn't see them in St. Thomas when you went to
the locals. To the locals, did people think he was a shrimper?
Well, my dad was in the distribution, but in St. Martin, where the shrimp, so the way the trade winds go is you really can't sail from Colombia to the Caribbean. You can sail from the Caribbean to New England. If you think back to the triangle trade that you were taught in elementary school.
Wow.
So,
look at
that. Yeah.
I am learning a lot today.
But they actually, the folks who were on the boats actually did like rub shoulders with Jimmy Buffett, like before he was like really big in St. Martin, because that's like where he hung out. So like when you think of like a lot of Jimmy Buffett songs about being a pirate or these other things, like they actually would, like they had met him and they had like kind of influenced that lifestyle.
Did he buy any weed from?
I'm sure.
Is there a picture? Is there a picture of your dad in Rolling Stone?
No. So my dad was not the folks on the boats. They were like true pirates. Like they like
That's
benevolent
crazy.
pirates, right?
Yeah.
Like they were truly living. It was different. And one of the way I learned about this is one of my dad's friends who was heavily involved. A month or so even after the celebration of life was like, you know what, I'll come over for dinner. I'll answer any questions you have about this just so you can learn. So that's where I got to ask him a ton of questions. So he
to
was
be a fly.
Yeah, it was just, well, I mean, it was amazing because I think we all think our parents are really boring, right? Like you're like, oh gosh, you're so lame. And I remember as a kid, my parents would be like, no, like we used to do exciting things. And I'd be like, okay. But they actually,
they were doing good things.
When you say they, so was your mom involved in this?
My mom was not necessarily, I would say she was more like a conspirator. So
that's the plot thing.
So like one of the
mom that I just saw.
Yes, in the car that dropped me off here. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
So like, I mean, I thought it was typical. I just thought everyone had 2 foot by 2 foot scales in their house to measure to weigh your suitcases on before you went to the airplane. I just thought that was normal. We had 2 of those in our basement.
Wow.
So there's things like that. And I guess my whole family knew about this. Like my aunts knew about it. My grandparents had known about it. In fact, like my grandparents so ultimately my dad was caught when they had a inferior sailing crew. So the guy, my dad's friend who met with me for dinner, my dad's partner in this whole adventure was nicknamed Nick the Prick. So he's kind of a dick.
Wow.
So he pissed people off. So the good sailors wouldn't really want to work with him anymore. So this other sailing crew had run aground in Wellfleet, Massachusetts, which for anyone who's familiar with Cape Cod, this is like a very bougie Cape Cod destination.
Yeah.
So they're unloading.
We went to P-Town once.
Yeah. So it's actually very close to P-Town, but it's like a little quieter. So they had run aground there. They'd read the title charts wrong. So there was more time for people to take notice of a lot of zodiacs going back and forth and unloading into a certain area. And that's ultimately how they were caught. But my grandparents knew about it, and my grandparents were fairly religious, and they had actually asked one of their friends who actually christened my sister, who is a well-regarded priest, to testify on my dad's behalf in his trial. Yeah, and
there's always a priest involved.
But it was really remarkable because my parents had kept recordings and transcripts. My mom had all of it, so I was able to read.
That's cool.
His diary. That
There is a documentary here.
When he was in prison. I read there was transcripts from what happened in court. It was interesting reading through particularly the testimony of this one priest who said, and that going to prison for some folks can kind of, I forget the exact wording. I should have brought it here to prepare, but it basically turns someone who's so good and kind of really harden or not just hard. I don't think my dad could have been hardened because he was so good hearted, but just it could really ruin someone. So that's why I think that he got a fairly lenient sentence of 1 year in federal prison in Pennsylvania. It was one of those kind of lower security places. I think he did groundskeeping or something, but it was, I mean, I can read his diary from there and
So now I can help with wonder. So you said that as kids, we often think about our parents being boring.
Mm-hmm.
So once your mom told you that story, did your perception of your dad turn from my dad was boring to he was a badass?
I mean, I think what changed for me is I am fairly competitive and ambitious.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really for me to learn that my dad was also really ambitious. I think he had gotten kicked out of university for doing basically shenanigans and
I was
stuff.
to say drugs.
No, well, I don't.
Smoking weed.
He was very good-hearted shenanigans. They would jump out of the window of their dorm into the snow, and it was a Catholic school. So, anyways, and then he put himself through night school and was roofing. So I think at that point there just weren't as many obvious pathways open to him. And if you think about
when you say roofing,
he was a roofer.
Oh, he wasn't roofing girls at the bar.
No. But roofing it, being a roof.
For the audience, because roofing can be another thing if you do to unsuspecting people at the bar.
Wait, what?
You put a roofie in their.
But is that called roofing?
Yeah.
I thought it means I've been roofied, but I didn't know.
Yeah,
if
but
you were
I
doing
feel
the
like
roofing,
if I've roofed you and I've roofed
you're calling
you,
yourself.
He just put it in a verb as a verb.
Well, I'm just saying I'm
I've
roofing.
never
I don't
heard
call
it done that way, but
no, quite the contrary. My dad was working on roofs of buildings in very hot weather, replacing and fixing.
I just don't want
much more demanding.
People to get the wrong impression.
Yes, thank you for clarifying.
You're welcome.
That. So I think it was just. So he was ambitious. So that was kind of nice to know, more so that he had that in him. And one of his friends at that memorial service told me that my dad told him that, he asked him, he was like, Jack, how long are you going to do this for? Because my dad actually did this for a number of years. And he was like, until I have $1 million.
Oh, wow.
And it was kind of.
That was the goal.
Yeah, that was the goal.
Interesting.
And I mean, I grew up in a really nice suburb of Boston. And, thinking back on it, I don't know how I thought they put a down payment there with a carpenter's salary, but thinking about my foundation in life was because I got a great public education, right? Probably growing up in this really nice place. And because I grew up there, my dad just didn't want my sister and I to know. So it was kind of this whole thing that no one was to tell us that this was a big part of the past, because doesn't set a great example, right, for a kid, and especially in high school and in college. And then he was diagnosed with cancer right when I was out of college. So you don't really, then he didn't really, when I was kind of finally old enough for him to have this conversation with me, then he didn't really want to talk about it at that point, right? Because it was just, I don't know, it's not like I totally
spend, yeah,
it's not really how you want to spend that last bit of time. I mean, I would love for my dad to be alive today and to ask him questions about this period of his life, which is why I'm so thankful that his friend did meet with me, because it allowed me to ask a lot of those questions. But I also really respect my dad for not telling me. I think it would have been so much easier when I was such a snot-nosed, like 15-year-old of like, you are just so boring.
I have a question for you. I have a question for you.
Yeah.
You said there was some rationale as to why he got a lenient prison term. Did all the crew go down as well in terms of getting prosecuted, and did others get longer term sentences?
So there was actually an article about this bust in the Wellfleet newspaper a few years ago. So I actually read the article, because like it was they even published an article about it.
We're still talking about
the anniversary. Well, it was such a big deal.
Yeah,
because at the time they recovered $1 million worth of weed from the boat. So this was in the 70s.
Oh, so he got the $1 million.
Well, no,
that's close. That's close.
We're talking about profit. That's wholesale pricing. But I think they were like, some of them ran away, like physically ran away down the Cape and got away. I think my dad got caught, and there was other things like
never ran away and got away with it. Like
but then some people were actually found later. Like there was another group in Maine that was got caught a few years, like I think 5-10 years later. One of so my dad on the like overall hierarchy was like a little bit lower. He was not, the Rolling Stone article
he wasn't the kingpin.
There was not written about my dad.
If we were to want to do us or our listeners wanting to do a follow-up deep dive into this, because it seems like it's still making the news and was in huge publications, what would one Google?
So Harvey Prager was the name of the guy who the Rolling Stone article was written about.
Harvey Prager?
Yeah, and actually he's super fascinating because he was caught and he basically convinced the court, instead of sentencing him into prison, that he would start up a hospice group for men with AIDS.
Oh,
and
wow.
And they decided that was a better impact to society than him serving time in prison.
Wow, that's fascinating.
So he ran a hospice for a number of years, and I believe now he lives in Brooklyn.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Now, was he a gay man?
No.
Oh, he just had this
desire
to run this hospice, or it was his theoretical ticket out of jail.
No, I think I never met. This is all just from reading this Rolling Stone articles where I'm gathering this, but I think he genuinely just cared about making things better. I mean, this group of folks who did this, I think they also wanted adventure. They agreed they would never distribute anything more than weed because they knew that would come with a lot of problems. But I think they genuinely thought that marijuana wasn't problematic, and even now it's legal, right? Look at all the tax revenue it's bringing in. So I think it was a fairly.
They were like visionaries.
Well, I think it was fun. Right? It was an adventure. They were kind of like cowboys, and I think they had a very strong moral code, right? And so that also carried through in other parts of folks' lives as well.
That's interesting. So what do you think your dad would make of it if he was able to walk into one of the dispensaries that we have today?
Everywhere.
Well,
they are pretty much everywhere.
Michigan.
It's just insane.
We're like California. It's everywhere.
I mean, I don't think he'd be surprised. I think my dad was also just not a technologically forward person. So I think he'd just be oh God, overwhelmed probably. Because if you would think back in the day,
you were smoking.
Right. And also weed now is so much stronger than anything that was provided back then. So
even from running these ships from Brazil?
Well, from
Colombia.
I think weed's a ton stronger now than it is then. And I think also I don't remember if it was high quality weed. I don't know. I think it was just, I think he'd be, I don't know. I've never actually thought about that. That's a good question, Megan. I mean, I think he'd be overwhelmed by the variety and the selection, just the merchandising of it.
Yeah. Maybe. It is kind of crazy how it's totally grown into all these different avenues.
Right. It's just a huge business.
It would be weird to be like, I spent a year of my life in prison
Yes.
for doing something now that is so recreationally accepted.
Yes, exactly. Like now he would have been probably in the forefront of this business.
I don't know. I mean, now it's a business, right?
Yeah.
So it's like
that's true.
He was able to. They were able to operate and do this smuggling because
With thousands
it was
of
illegal.
dollars.
Yeah,
Right,
Like
like,
it was easy, to
And they
do,
were able
or
to
not
like
easy,
live
but-
on sailboats and do this whole thing.
Yeah.
And I think now it being a business, you can't do that anymore. You can't kind of have this cowboy lifestyle with something that's like grown in giant greenhouses. It's just totally different.
Yeah.
So I think for them it was just as much about the adventure of doing something like that and just having freedom and yeah, I think just in friendship too. I mean, I think it also, when I met all of my dad's friends, their friendship seemed even stronger to me because the amount of trust that was there for one another.
Yeah.
And when they said that, like, we trusted your dad, that meant a lot more, right? Because it's like what they had to go through and share and not share, or and it's also interesting as a kid, you just know that there's certain things you shouldn't ask questions about.
Yeah.
Right. So like thinking back on it, like there was one of his friends I called him Uncle 52. And I knew that 52 was his cell block number. But I knew not to ask why he was in jail.
Oh,
right? Like you just but as a kid, like you just realize, like, I don't know, you just know that there's certain things that are off.
Right.
It's like, so that made more sense.
Yeah, obviously.
What Uncle 52 went to jail for.
So did 52, he went to jail at the same time as your dad?
I don't know if it was all. I think he might have been in the same group. So yes.
Okay.
But there were different sailing crews, and so I think there was different folks who were apprehended at different periods of time. Yeah.
Do you think
I am
has
fascinated by
anything
this story
to
like
do
so much.
with you why you turned into a stalker or no? Is it in the genes? Or
I do think
That's a
being
good
naturally
question.
curious is definitely in my family's genes, but I don't think it has anything to do with this activity.
Did you?
I actually think it's more on my mom's side because we
okay.
love like going for walks in the evening and looking in people's houses.
Oh,
when
I
they're
love
all
that
out.
too.
Yeah.
It is great.
Yeah.
Did you when you sat down with one of your dad's friend, did you hear any crazy customer stories that he probably shared with you?
So he shared some crazy stories that were more about
Them.
the life on the boat, right?
Oh, really? I can only imagine.
Did you ever go sailing? And you just
So,
thought you were
and
out for a
also-
nice little sail?
Well, it made sense to me, like, why my dad was a really good sailor. I never thought about it. So we did have a 26-foot sailboat growing
You're
up.
like, Dad, they teach this in roofing school?
And like, I remember at one point we were talking and my dad just mentioned that he had sailed to Florida once. And this was when I was a teenager. And I was like, wait, what? And then he just was quiet. And I just,
wow.
so I just knew,
So
I was
he
like,
knew.
but
It's like, this is too
So
much.
the things
But-
were
but
hidden.
you just also-
even little
again,
tidbits.
like you just know when your parents aren't going to say
Yeah.
anymore and you just
And
know
you like-
not to push. And
Yeah.
that was it. And then thinking back on it,
Mm.
and what was also like for me really one of the more heartbreaking things to think back on with my dad is in his final days, he was in the ICU at Brigham and Women's Hospital in Boston. And it's a great hospital, but their ICU facility is just like a shitty room. And you could see it was like cinder blocks.
Oh,
And I remember my dad was like out of it. He looked at it. He was like, what type of prison is this? And I just looked at him and I was like, Dad, like, you never been to jail. And he was just like, even all of the crazy amount of like painkillers and drugs he was on, knew then he was just like quiet.
Oh, wow.
But it was also terrifying to me that towards the end of his life, he thought he was back in jail.
Yeah, because of
is
this.
kind of
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean,
That's
just
awful.
because, I mean, the facility itself while he was.
But now he's up there just token away, I bet.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't, I don't think
Token.
he
No?
didn't really do.
He wasn't a user? That's a
He
good
just
He
wanted
did-
the money.
Well, no, I think he did use a little bit, but I
he
think
was
then like,
competitive.
I also just think that like going to jail I think it totally changed things for him, right? Like
Yeah.
after he got out, I mean, then him and my mom got married when he got out of prison. I was born. I think that just totally changes like how he lived his life too.
I wonder if
Interesting.
he will be like pro or con gummies.
Oh, I don't think he'd really care either way.
Because it's old
Well,
school, like
they're
up on
anti-gummies.
they are not really
But-
they're like a good blonde.
Well, I have a friend separate from this whole thing who grows weed for distribution in Maine legally now. And he says that gummies are basically like stripping out the qualities of the weed.
Oh.
So like you just have
wow.
like that. It's like almost like gummies are like the vodka of weed. It's just like kind of like
Oh,
flavorless.
interesting.
Like,
Hmm.
but if you want like
We're still waiting for a
indica-
moment to just get a gummy for Megan.
Yeah. You've never had a gummy, Megan?
No.
Oh, it just
Mm.
puts me to sleep. I just-
That's what I feel like.
She's
yeah.
never tried marijuana. Can I say that? I just
Yeah.
did.
No,
No,
I'm
that's
not.
the gummy.
I'm not a
I'm assuming
smoker.
it's-
Well, yeah, but
don't
in,
like
in her
smoking.
whole life, she's never
Mm-mm.
tried weed. I don't.
Mm-mm.
I'm not a big fan of it.
You get the cuffs.
Huh? I
You
do
get the
get the
cuffs.
coughs.
Yeah.
The
Mm.
inhale. If I'm
Oh.
really inhaling.
I mean, I can't handle it at all. Like if any of
No.
my friends are listening, if they've seen me try to like
Your
smoke-
dad would be like,
smoke a joint, it's like
disgrace.
it's embarrassing. I just like start like coughing everywhere.
I bought
it's
gummies
awful.
when we were in COVID, and I thought, oh, this will be great. I mean, I think I still have some left.
Probably.
Like
They are
I just
expired.
but I just I don't know. I'm like, oh, it'll be so cool. And I'm just like, I
yeah.
just didn't.
I just fall asleep like almost.
yeah,
instantly.
that's the thing. I'd be
Yeah.
like, I'd be in bed by 9.
Yeah. Which
All
is
right,
great.
well-
Well,
no, this is great.
I have a question. If
Yes.
a movie was made about your dad, who would play him?
Oh my goodness.
Good question.
That is a good question. And I'm
I
like,
love those
I feel like I shouldn't
questions.
be on this podcast because I'm so bad at pop culture.
Well, it doesn't have to be.
No, yeah.
I mean, it could be someone from 20 years ago or someone who's not even alive anymore.
I
Yeah.
would kind of like someone. My mom was going to probably be, no matter what I say, I think she'll be like disappointed with my answer. I kind of think it needs to be someone who's like all American,
Mm.
like good person, like humorous. So I don't
Oh,
love.
humorous and good.
Yeah,
okay.
he
What
had a great
about-
sense of
Oh,
humor.
really?
Oh, what
Great.
about like a Matthew McConaughey or an Edward Norton? He's
Pacino.
a
Maybe Ed
he's
Norton.
a Boston. Or
I
Matt
like-
Damon, Ben Affleck. Those are all your Boston
Oh, my
guys.
God.
True.
Oh, they're the Boston
No, I'm
guys.
trying to
yeah.
find the Boston.
That's a good point.
A
The
Ben
Boston
Affleck.
piece.
No, not Ben Affleck.
No.
He's like kind of.
Well,
goofy.
you gravitated to
I
Ed.
love
I think
Ben.
Ed Norton.
Okay.
I'll say Ed Norton.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
because he's like kind of a little unassuming.
Yeah.
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 And that was kind of like
He
my
had a
dad's
movie
style.
in which he played a drug role.
Oh, really?
Remember
Huh?
when he had to open his mouth? I think it was him, and put like bite on to a curb, a cement curb.
Oh,
God.
that was-
Do you remember?
Yes, I know that movie.
Yes,
And
I know it.
yeah.
Oh.
So that's your
What-
dad. I get
No,
it.
no.
just
But
kidding. I get it.
This was a
Kidding.
far less intense than that.
Yeah,
They
got it.
were
I am-
sailing into like resorty towns.
What
Yeah.
about Marky Mark?
No.
Oh.
No.
No.
Ed,
I
we've
do like
landed
Mark.
on Ed.
My dad was much more like
she said,
was great.
she
Guys,
landed on
thinking of Mark
Ed.
Boston.
Stop
boy.
recasting the role.
But Mark
Yeah.
Wahlberg is far more like a hardcore tough guy image. So my dad was like a
Okay.
super sweet,
Oh,
kind
Johnny
person.
Wahlberg with
Well,
that little
Donnie,
ass.
a little Donnie Wahlberg.
Donnie Wahlberg.
I
Oh,
like
you-
Donnie.
If anyone
His-
actually, you know, what,
he-
maybe like a
They
Casey
call him
Affleck.
Marshmallow.
Casey
You know?
Oh, I
Affleck.
love a cat.
Are you good with that, Megan?
I'm good with all. I'm
You're
just
the
thinking
casting
of-
director.
She
She's
did
the
not
casting
like Ed
director.
Norton. She was
Well,
No.
she
She's
suggested
not,
Ed
yeah.
Norton.
I love Ed Norton. I'm
The
fine. with
irony
that.
of it
Okay.
But I
all.
was just thinking of other Boston boys.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go. With
I,
we'll go
um,
with Casey Affleck
Okay.
We do go
because also my
before
dad
we
had
move
curly
on,
black.
I'm going to wrap it up.
Oh,
we
that's a
just
good
need to
mix.
know.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Did you win the Moth?
no.
Oh, yeah,
Oh.
good point.
I mean, we
Yes.
do have to
So,
like bring it
I
home.
actually
Yes.
did. I wanted to honor my dad's memory, right?
Mhm.
So I didn't want to just get up on stage and wing it. Like I, and this is a very complex, long story. It's really not great for a 5-minute storytelling competition. So I spent a lot of time actually like writing this out and practiced it. And I got up on stage and was obviously nervous, and I came in second place.
Oh,
Well, that's pretty good. I
It
mean,
wa-
out of how many people? 3?
So they pick. I think they picked about. I think it's 10 people go. So when
Mm.
you
Well,
go
that's
there,
great.
you
It's
put
a
your
hat.
name into a hat, and they pick your name out of a hat. So you actually don't know if you'll get picked or not. So I came in second, but what I was so pissed about is the winner is kind of like a professional storyteller, and he had won a previous month's
Oh.
competition.
oh, so he shouldn't be allowed to win.
I
again.
know.
Are you
Yeah.
familiar
You were
with our
robbed.
slip it in and pull it out policy or programming? You might want to throw him in there.
Oh.
That sounds like a pull
Well,
it out to me.
No, but he was a great storyteller. Like he was.
So he deserved it.
I deserve to win.
Yeah, there you go.
He was still he was a very good storyteller, but I still deserve to win.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that. I
Yeah.
love that. Well, Molly, like I personally, I'm just speaking for myself. Like I'm blown away by this story. Like I don't think that we really sat down and discussed it. And
Mhm.
I think that this has a part 2 and part 3. Like
Yes.
it's just like it can.
You'll have to be a return
And
guest.
I
with
want
this
to know
Rolling
what happened
Stone.
in that
Yeah,
year in prison.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
the
yeah,
diaries.
100%.
Can we pull the diary transcripts for the three of us?
Well, I'm gonna go home to Massachusetts in a month or so,
Oh,
so
all right,
I could bring
And
some.
like, yeah, and you said one of the things that you mentioned here is like you wish that your dad would have been here now.
Mhm.
And this episode is dropping after Father's Day, and
yeah.
the fact that you're able to bring that in,
Yeah.
and it kind of makes me emotional.
Mhm.
I lost my dad as well, you know, and you being able to tell that story.
Mhm.
I mean, I think that your dad's memory lives on. He was a baddie,
Mhm.
and I appreciate you bringing that in for sure. It really fills my heart.
Well, and if
Aw,
anything,
that's
what I'd
nice.
love for my
I
dad's
know.
legacy to be is not just he is a baddie, but he's also an incredibly generous, kind, funny, and someone who would always want everyone around him to be very comfortable. So he was, if anything, like a Maha. He was
Love
just a lovely, a really
Love
great
it.
person.
Love it.
I'm gonna
Awesome.
share
You
your.
guys are making me tear up.
I'm gonna share your story with my dad and ask him what.
What did he do?
You
What
sold
did he do?
insurance, so
Yeah.
what were you doing, Dad?
Did I use that word appropriately, JJ?
Yeah,
Maha?
100%.
Okay,
Oh,
that's how I think
Maha.
of him.
Is
What is
that,
it?
Yeah.
That's
Say
a
it.
Spanish
It's like a
word?
very like proud and like very like I don't know, like glorious type
Yeah.
of thing. Yeah.
When
yeah.
Wow.
I remember when I
to
first
describe a
brought it.
person?
I got goosebumps because Maha was the powder that my mom used to use.
Ah,
So,
I thought it was
yeah.
fish.
No,
Oh
not
my
at all.
God.
So we went from weed to another product. We have
Yes.
a product coming out.
We
Let's just go
do. We
into
do.
it.
And let me tell you guys, this is the product of all products. So Molly and I, besides the fact that she's a mad stalker, we also know each other from a beer group that I used to be involved in. And I had originally met her husband when I was part of the Detroit Drunken Historical
Yeah.
Society.
With the poop emoji custom. Maybe?
Oh, no, but I organized a
Oh.
pub crawl of Detroit's historic pubs.
Mhm.
And on the bus, on the way to the pub crawl, this guy pops up in the seat in front of me and says, "Hi, I'm Samir." I'm like, "Hi." And from that moment on, we were friends.
Okay.
And then a few years later,
Here she comes.
here comes Molly. But anyway, we are part of this kind of group of girls who still get together for happy hours that all kind of originated and stemmed from this beer group that we were all
I'm
in.
trying to get an invite for that.
Yes. So as
Trying to get a what?
An invite.
Oh, it
You
said. I
could.
think she led
She
with
said no.
girls group.
Well, but we support the gays, and the gays are allowed. Anyway, we often share lots of tips, beauty tips, product tips, etc. So one tip that everyone's been talking about for years is SkinCeuticals CE Ferulic Serum. This is like the godsend supposedly to your skin. I've wanted to try it. I've been meaning to try it, but it's $185 and it just seems crazy. But the patent just ran out on it. As soon as that patent ran out, you better believe in our text thread, hey, has anyone heard of any dupes that have come out? No dupes to be had until recently. Thank you, Trader Joe's. Here they come. Trader Joe's came out with Trader Joe's
always
vitamin
the best.
C.
Thank you.
Wow, Trader Joe's.
So
comes
let
out
me
with a
tell you,
beauty dupe.
the SkinCeuticals patent ran out. The Trader Joe's vitamin C serum comes out. They have all the exact same blend of ingredients. It's 15% L-ascorbic acid, which is vitamin C, 1% vitamin E, and 0.5% ferulic acid. All of these together are designed to boost stability and antioxidant protection. You should be using vitamin C on your skin
Wasn't this in the
every
chat?
day.
Wasn't this in the thread?
Yes.
When there's a product, we just like
Well, but I'm telling you, every morning, everyone should be using vitamin C. It targets your fine lines, your wrinkles, discoloration, and environmental damage. So Trader Joe's, this dupe, $9.99. As soon as it came out, literally that week I went there. It's been out, I think, maybe a month at
probably
most.
around that.
I went there a couple days ago, seen
Sold out.
it's nowhere to be had. It is sold out everywhere.
I got it immediately the
Yes.
first day, which actually came up as a surprise for me when you came up
came-
with the product.
yes.
I'm like, I've had it on my shelf
yes.
for a week or two. So I was
Yes.
already in it.
So it costs a fraction of SkinCeuticals. It's a great option for anyone who doesn't think,
And
they
it feels
need to
very
have.
fresh and like,
Yes.
Well,
So Matty has taken some issue with it.
I don't take.
there he comes.
Hey, there's
Storytelling Matty.
Yeah. First of all, that little story about this product could be
Yes.
a moth. Could be a moth.
Oh, you want me to go to the Moth?
You could
and do
moth it up if the category is
Product.
reinvention,
Bargain hunter.
dupes.
Well, I think Negan needs a better story arc.
Oh, or not, or maybe
Yeah.
not. Okay,
Oh.
maybe less ingredients.
Touche.
Yeah.
Maybe less ingredients. Lean in on the beer group more.
Well,
Okay. But what I'll say is when I put it on for the first time, literally, it smells to me like I am filleting salmon. Like it smells like Alaskan salmon on my face.
Yeah.
I know you guys
You
don't
don't
feel
want
the
fish in
same.
your face?
I don't want fish.
it has a
Never.
different smell, which I will say all the different vitamin C serums you use can have a little bit of a smell. I've been using the Sunday Riley vitamin C serum every morning. I've now switched to the Trader Joe's, and they all have a little slight different smell. I don't smell salmon. I smell something that's not.
It goes
Something
away.
fishy.
It
Something
goes
fishy.
away
But it goes away
fast.
quick.
It
Yeah.
does.
Some
Well,
people say beer. It smells kind of like beer.
I do want to complete my review
Oh,
of it to
okay.
say that because it's
Okay.
not all bad. I do actually. I have it on now.
You're
I-
glowing.
Thank you.
You really are.
Yeah.
He was working on the yard. Like,
I really do.
It's the serum.
This is what happens, Molly.
it is probably the serum.
I do really like it. The way it looks, it feels like it's tightening
Are
my
you
face.
tight?
I feel
Listen.
tight.
Love that.
I'm going to try
For
it in
once.
other places. No, I'm just kidding. I might have to edit that.
Well,
out.
this is like.
So I don't like it going on. I like it settling in,
Okay. Love
and
that.
I will buy it when
Yeah.
mine's
I
out.
mean,
and thank you for the gift.
like
You're
to your
welcome.
point, Megan, like $9.99 for
Yes.
a product. I do have to
185, the
Yeah.
same exact ingredient.
Did
They're
you-
literally the same.
Did you
to
really
everything.
hold the ingredient list side by side, and you can?
Let me tell you, there
Oh,
are
there- oh, geez.
TikToks, there's Instagram posts. I mean,
Okay.
this is like a phenomenon.
crazy.
People have been waiting and waiting for the dupes that are
and
matching.
Trader Joe's
know what
came in immediately.
Do you
There
know what the
is
craziest
one
thing
thing-
about that is they're still clearly able to make a profit at $9.99.
Yeah.
So these people that were selling it for
Yes.
180, wow,
85.
they were like
Living.
they were
185.
like taking us to the.
They were sailing to Colombia, to
Yeah.
San Martin.
That's like a much higher profit margin. than,
Yeah.
like,
As
the
soon
balance
as
of-
our
I
link
know.
tree was created, I put this SkinCeuticals serum on because I intended to buy it and try it. And then I just never got to that point because when my Sunday Riley ran out, I was going to buy it. But that's when that patent expired. I'm like,
Mm.
oh, I'm going to kind of wait and see what dupes come out. And lo and behold, my favorite market around, Trader
Yeah.
Joe's, like lived up to the hype. But
She's always got that notification. Like I hate.
I do like the name
notifications so much.
SkinCeuticals.
yeah, but I will say there is one different ingredient
Oh, there
between
she
the
comes.
two, but
Oh,
it's
see?
it's an emulsifier. It's not an active ingredient. It's not part of anything. So the main patented blend that has to do with fighting the wrinkles and making your skin glow and the antioxidation on your face, all of that is
Mhm.
in the Trader Joe's
Awesome.
version.
Okay.
Awesome.
So
Molly,
run to
Awesome.
your Trader Joe's, get some.
What'd you think of
Slip
it?
Yes.
that product
Oh,
in.
I liked it.
You
And,
liked it?
I mean, I know JJ is a big Trader Joe's fan, as he
Yeah.
often references on the
Mhm.
pod. So
Mhm.
I think I'll pick it up the next time I'm there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Are
Well,
you guys ready for slipping in?
Are
and
you
pull out?
ready, Molly? We're gonna, as our guest,
You are.
we
Yeah,
are
you're
gonna
the honor guest.
give you the honors. Go for
Well,
it.
I'm going to start positive. So I think in honor of the origin story of the moth, it's finally, I feel like, summer porch weather season.
Mm.
So my slip it in is summer porch weather. My
Oh,
mom
yes.
is visiting, so she was having her coffee on the porch this morning. And then even just like, it's nice to hang out on the porch with friends, have a glass of wine in the
Yeah.
evening. So that for me is summer has arrived when I'm
Oh,
finally.
yes. We've been
Yeah.
waiting for it.
Is
Yeah.
it house porches or like patios as well? Is it all together, or are you saying like I love like getting my morning coffee and being out?
I love at my house or
Your
a
house,
friend's house.
a
I actually
friend's
have
house.
some other friends who live in Ferndale as well, and they we have like porch wine. So we have a porch wine text, and
Oh, I
sometimes
love
we'll like
that.
meet on different porches.
Have you
And-
gotten that text?
Mm.
No, you haven't.
Do you walk by their houses at odd times of the evening?
I'm invited over their
Oh.
houses.
Oh.
So maybe
Touche.
I don't
Touche.
have to stalk them.
Yeah.
I would
Okay.
like to be on this porch wine text because I'm sometimes in the Ferndale area.
All right, Megan. Megan can be at it.
Do you know what-
I love it.
You know
What
what?
about
Ferndale
JJ?
has a porch every event. They have like a
The
porch.
concert.
Yeah, bands. You can voluntarily sign up, and a band can come and
Yeah.
play off your porch.
Oh, I
Love
love
that.
that.
Which I think is a great idea.
That
It's
is
really cool.
definitely a good way. I mean, I was talking today about it with my friends. It's like, but I often says like, "Oh, you got what? What are you doing in Michigan?" Like, and I'm like, "Summers in Michigan, like one of the best."
They are.
Mhm.
It is a great place
Yeah.
for a summer.
That's
I
a
will give
good
you that.
slip it in.
Okay, now give us your shitty
So
stuff.
my slip it out is very specific,
To me.
and not to.
Did
I am looking.
You
at
say
JJ.
it, slip it out.
Slip. Oh,
Slip
sorry.
it in.
Sorry.
Just pull it out.
It's okay.
I'm sorry.
No, you're
Being
good.
recorded is a little nerve wracking. I know that you all are fans of Costco.
Oh, yes.
So,
Not
and I
me.
know that Costco also does a lot of local like not local sourcing, but like each individual Costco like customizes their inventory.
yes.
So I'm hoping that this pull it out will inspire the Costco
Oh.
or local Costco to change their stocking. I would really like there to be a shelf stable unflavored soy milk at
Oh.
the
Oh, that
is
regular
very specific.
Costco.
Yeah.
They have it at the business center, but they don't have it at the regular Costco.
Oh, makes sense
that
that they
is-
would
Wait,
have it
what?
at the business.
Unflavored.
What's the business center?
Oh, you
Yeah.
bought
Oh, we've
The
talked
other
about it on
top
the
of
pod.
Costco.
We talked about it on the pod. There is Business Center, Costco,
Uh-huh.
and just a regular Costco.
There's
Oh.
one. There's one down 8 Mile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The business center is like catered
Greenfield
to like if
anymore.
you're like stocking your office
Mhm.
with
Oh,
like
okay.
snacks.
All
or-
right.
Stock.
Or
Got it.
Yes,
Oh,
it just
stock.
comes naturally.
Stocking.
Or like you run a catering business or something.
Okay. All right.
And then but there's no like clothing or other
Right.
stuff at the business like business center is like all
Is clothing optional?
well
Oh, gross! I
No.
don't want to go to my Costco with that shit going on.
yeah. So
Yeah,
that
I've
is
seen the
that's a
people at the Costco.
because I
very
am a
specific.
big fan of unflavored,
soy milk. I
soy
don't
milk.
want vanilla soy milk.
I
I
don't.
agree. That makes
Vanilla
sense.
soy milk is gross.
unsweetened, and
Especially I don't want
unsweet-
6 cartons.
Do you know
of
what-
I
vanilla
don't
soy
like
milk.
them
Yes,
either.
I support that. Costco, you need to
100%.
change, especially when down the street at the business center, it's there.
There, right.
Yeah.
I have a Costco adjacent pull it out too, which is
Oh.
really weird. We didn't
Oh.
plan.
I have an
Not much.
adjacent to her slip it ends.
Oh.
So do you want to go first, or
I'm
do
like
I
the
wanna
center
go
of the Venn
first?
diagram.
Why don't you go first?
So my slip it in is really with the summer rooftops and patios. You kind of
Oh,
mentioned
yes.
patios. We were
We've been talking
downtown
about
Detroit a
roofing.
couple weeks ago. The Hudson's rooftop is open.
I know. I'm dying
and
to go.
the views, like we already had a group of friends. We have a reservation. We cannot wait to go to the roof.
Pine
Oh.
Hall.
Hmm
I was in line for that Thursday night, the night it opened. I was
really?
down there with friends,
It's insane
and
because they don't have any reservation. To
well, yeah, well they,
they
yes,
don't.
you had to
cannot
wait
go into
and-
like a resi or anything like that, open table or anything like that.
Yeah.
There's none of that. But rooftops and patios, there's nothing like it.
So good.
Yeah, I'm from a porch to a patio to a rooftop. The sun is out. Roses,
Love
espresso martinis. Summer, Michigan summer
Yeah.
is here.
Yeah.
My pull it out goes back way back to when I met Molly and her husband.
Uh-oh.
I already know.
Oh,
where we're
no.
going.
I
And
think you might have dropped a clue about this early, like 20
Probably.
20 minutes ago. And
this
Megan
was like
glossed
a
over it.
winter beer fest in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Till this day, probably the worst hangover I've ever had in my entire adult life.
I was incredibly hungover because we went into a steam room after drinking
Yes.
all day.
Yes.
With wine
Like,
in our hands.
Yes, we decided to like cook our bodies further.
Yes.
Yeah.
We were in our underwear in the hot tub. So yeah,
Isn't that
it's a mixed feelings because we were meeting for the first time.
You
we
had
bonded.
amazing overalls on.
I did.
You
and
looked
didn't your
great.
husband have the poop shirt on, which is what
No, no, no,
JJ
JJ's a poop full on like
Oh,
costume.
Oh, shut up.
He was
It was a
Yes.
full costume.
Yes.
emoji. So he was the
Oh, I
Yeah,
thought he
poop
had like a
emoji, no.
poop shirt.
The
No.
on.
poop
the
emoji costume.
his face came
Yes.
out of it.
Wow. Wasn't it a
So,
hot day?
That was
No, it was
No,
Winter
Beer
Festival.
Fest.
Oh, okay.
it was put
I
on.
wasn't there, clearly.
It was put on by the Michigan Brewers Guild. They put on a
She comes
winter
with the
and a
facts.
summer beer fest. They also have a spring and a fall, which is in Detroit.
Yeah,
So
but that one's.
the one in the
it's-
winter, it's
it's fun to
outside
go.
all day.
I've never had a hangover like that.
It was awful. I
We
mean,
left early and
Oh.
went to the JW Marriott and pooled it up and sauned it up and
And
steam
steam-
roomed it. It was crazy.
Sounds
And
like
the
a long
next
day.
day, we had to check out and go to brunch.
Yes.
And
What a
So Samir and I
I
did
threw
not
up
make.
2 ice
We didn't
on that
make brunch.
place.
Like, I
you
don't know-
didn't?
Yes, you did. You were
No,
there.
no,
they
we did
didn't.
not. We got an Airbnb because we were too cheap to pay for JW Marriott, and it was I
You get a
I
special
couldn't-
code.
Didn't your dad leave you a bunch of money?
No.
Maybe it's
Isn't
buried
it?
in the
Yeah.
backyard.
You might want to go
but
to your library
it
and get a
was-
metal
Well,
detector
I'll
and
tell
check
more
that
about
backyard.
in part 2.
Oh, there we
Ooh,
go.
Wow, I love it.
Megan and Matty, who's
Megan, why don't you go? I'll close this out today.
All right. Okay. Keeping with the summer theme, I've been eating a little more fruit these days. And my slip it in is pink pineapple. I love pink pineapple.
Oh, I've
And,
never had pink pineapple.
If you
It's good.
see
It's
it,
very
you
refreshing.
have to buy it.
Okay.
It tastes like a pineapple, but it doesn't have that kind of like, sometimes there's like that little sourness of a pineapple. It doesn't have, it's like the same taste, but just smooth and easy.
Mhm.
I love
Pineapple
And it's
is
pretty.
One of my favorite. So
Yeah.
I'll have to try it. I
Pineapple
haven't-
is your
Oh,
favorite,
One of.
Pink
Mm.
I didn't call
pineapple.
it the
Oh,
favorite.
I love it.
and it helps with your nuts, if you know what I mean.
Uh, it always goes
Like-
back to the nut.
Like flavoring?
You
Yeah,
don't know
100%.
this.
Well, I think I just got it right.
Yeah.
You're supposed to eat a
more
lot of
pineapple-
pineapples if you're a man.
Okay.
It might help you get a little something.
Got it.
It will help you with this nuts.
All right, my pull it out. I'm keeping with the fruit theme, and it's a honey don't, not a honeydew. You get what I'm saying?
Oh, so you
Honeydew.
don't-
I do not like the honeydew. It's
I
a
like
don't.
it.
I like
I
it.
don't like it. I like a cantaloupe. I don't like the honeydew.
Oh, that's
Isn't it
Yeah.
called also muskmelon?
No, muskmelon. I like. It's the green melon.
it's kind of boring.
It just has a lot. I don't like it. I like regular
It's a
melon.
It's the
yeah.
Brazil nuts of fruit.
Yeah.
Wow.
I
It's
or-
filler in the fruit salad.
and it is. I hate it when they put it in. And
yeah.
part of what got me on this fruit topic is I had fruit kebabs.
Mm.
And I
Oh.
thought it was a watermelon, and I was surprised
it's
with the
not.
pink pineapple.
Oh, don't get me
and then
started
next
on a
to it
watermelon.
was on these kebabs, there was like 5 honeydews,
Mm.
1 pink pineapple,
Wow.
1 regular pineapple, 1 strawberry, 1 cantaloupe / muskmelon.
Well, it is a pull out. for
one
sure.
note taker. She was like,
I'm like, yes, the filler. To your point, the
Mm,
filler fruit.
yeah.
No one wants it.
I'm going to start with my pull it out. And that is Costco adjacent.
Oh,
So first of all, part of this is my own fault because I shouldn't go to a Costco on a Sunday and think that I'm going to be able to get in and get out real quickly. But I get into the membership line because I got my 2% check cash back and I didn't get enough to like justify the executive membership. So they'll make that right with you. So I had the check and I'm like, I'm just going to wait in line. This woman is getting a new membership and she is asking every question under the sun, which I'm patient
She
about.
should.
Right, yeah. Hear me out. I'm patient about because like if you're going to sign up for a membership, ask your questions. Totally fine. But I mean, she should also be aware that there's 4 people. I'm 4th in line, 4 people behind her. Okay, fine. They're all set. Then what she does is ask, well, can I ask you, like, how does one maybe apply for a job here?
No. That is, yeah.
That's
I'm like-
insane.
in my mind,
That
I'm like,
made it a pull out. for sure.
lady, like,
Move on.
come on. And the cashier, the lady behind the thing, so sweet and nice. you got to just keep getting on,
Just go
just
online.
checking
Careers.
the sites, keep going. And then she's asking more questions.
Costco/careers.
Literally, this woman, when she was done,
Thank you.
she went around the side and hugged the Costco lady.
What?
Oh my god!
She did a side hug, a side American hug.
Were the
it doesn't-
other line people getting annoyed too? Were you
I don't-
guys making faces?
I don't
at each
know.
other?
I was seeing so much red. I didn't know what was happening around me.
Yeah.
Well, you
That
know,
is a plus.
Costco is traditionally is like a top employer. Like they pay
Yes.
really, really high
Higher.
wages. They offer healthcare.
Well, don't
Like-
hire this woman.
The CEO is very much like forward thinking in that
Yeah.
you get better
Yeah.
employees and people want Costco jobs and
Yeah.
they don't leave them. They get hired and stay there.
Yeah.
Okay, my slip it in. I'm going to start with a question.
Oh god.
JJ, this is for you. When I say the word cobbler, how would you define a cobbler?
Cobbler.
Cobbler.
It's a dessert.
Okay. And Molly, what would you call a cobbler?
So it's funny when you said, how would you define a cobbler? Initially, I was thinking of the dessert, but then when you said it that way, I thought of someone who fixes shoes.
That's my slip it in.
Oh my gosh.
Megan,
This is
did you know
about
this,
me.
JJ? Did you know a cobbler is somebody who fixes shoes?
No.
Yes.
Molly, even though you know this to be true, do you take your shoe? Would you ever
So
say
honestly-
in 2026, I'm taking my shoes to the cobbler?
So actually, I will say earlier today, no joke,
Stop.
my husband and I were talking about that he had to take
What?
his shoes to the cobbler.
Did you
On
guys-
9 Mile. Did you go to the guy on 9 Mile? I
well,
just went
were,
to him last
We
week.
were driving through Royal Oak, and he
A
said
couple weeks,
something
I think.
about like the cobbler.
He used the word cobbler?
Yes. See, that's how you
honestly-
refer to
Oh,
them.
It honestly came up in conversation today.
That is crazy. Because
but I would not say it's a daily
no.
topic.
Well, it is a slip it in, Megan. So when Megan was telling me, she's like, "Oh, I went to the cobbler and I got my
there
shoes
is a
done."
cobbler right next to Western Market that I've brought shoes
Correct.
to.
I just went
Yeah.
there
So
last
have
week.
I.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So have I. But I just, at one point in the story, I just smiled and she's like, "What are you smiling about?" And I'm like, I just love that you're, I mean, like,
They're
I think
calling
in
it cobbler.
2026, we call it a shoe repair. She's like,
Mm.
"What do you
Oh.
mean?" She's like, "It's always been a cobbler." And I'm like,
They offer-
it has been, but like, I think it's
I
evolved.
guess
Like,
I've never thought about that.
I
just
get-
thought it's
I get
It's a
called
weird
out
word.
all the time because I'm like, "Oh, I'm at home watching a program." And someone will be
If
like,
you
"Why do you
tell
call it
me-
a program?"
Sounds okay.
We're going
Well,
to
I mean,
get a
that does make you
cobbler.
sound
Like
right.
I know.
Maddie's stepmom makes my favorite dessert ever, a
Cobbler.
blueberry or peach cobbler. I would eat that fucker like for weeks.
Well, from here on out, anytime I get my shoes repaired,
You're going to
You're
the
going to
cobbler.
the
I'm going to the
cobbler.
cobbler.
Well, why
So just-
say shoe repair? It's a lot
Well,
more to
we
say
should-
than cobbler.
But
And
we should ask the people at the shoe repair / cobbler what they prefer.
Maybe.
The guy is kind of weird.
On
Oh,
9
I
Mile.
told Megan
I
that
love
too.
weird.
I'm like, good luck with that guy.
Like,
Okay.
I don't want to ask him actually. He's
He
like,
is
he's
weird.
there's something
Let me tell you, I went in. I said I'll come back next week. Oh, can you come back later today? Are you working?
Yeah.
And he had him done that day. So I support it.
but
But,
he insisted you come back
well, and then he was a little high on the price, but he said because I had very fancy
for a
shoes.
cobbler.
Yeah.
Said they were fancy shoes.
he was a little high on the weed, but
No, well, I don't
He
know.
was actually a little judgy of my shoes. That, like,
Oh,
really?
that I like shouldn't get them
What?
fixed. That they
Wow.
like weren't
No,
the
fixed.
cobblers will do that to you.
Nothing-
I've been there. They've done that to me
Nothing
before.
worse than a
Cobblers.
judgy cobbler.
All right. Well, with that, we've talked family secrets, unexpected revelations, and more, including those nuts. In the meantime, till we see you again, check out our link tree at Slip It In Podcast. Or we want to hear from you. Reach out to us. Slip into our DMs on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook, even X. We're at Slip It In Podcast. You can also email us, slipitinpodcast@gmail.com, or you can call and text us, 313-444-9004. Goodbye. Thanks, Molly.